Welcome to the SportSpace podcast. I'm your host with the mother freaking most, Chuka Offer.
And I'm your favorite co-host, Ezigo Offer, coming to you live from the 678-404-770.
Yes, sir.
Whichever one is truly it, we don't know.
And today on the SportSpace, we have a few beautiful things to talk about. Like every week, by every week I mean probably the first couple weeks, I'm going to at least reiterate what the SportSpace is. One, the SportSpace is a name that has not 100% stuck yet, so if we think of something cooler, it may change. Two, the SportSpace is just what used to be our sports section of our podcast, moved right onto its own independent podcast for those who love sports to listen to us twice a week.
Yeah.
And for those who don't like sports, you don't have to hear it on the main pod no more. I'm sorry, baby.
It's all right, because we wanted to do something for the listeners, for the viewers, for the good people of the Off-Space podcast.
Talk to them.
We wanted an opportunity to bring y'all the best of both worlds inside of two different worlds.
Talk to them.
Why would we mix our strawberries with our Sprite?
And I'm not even going to say no names, but never mind. I was about to be a dick at the start of the podcast. I can't be a dick at the front.
We made it so far without saying
I'm just going to be like to my dog that, you know who you are, that double tap my message when you was out there posting on your story, like who wants to smoke, showing you shooting a little basketball shot. I instantly sent 3 money signs at you and I said, I'm ready for the smoke whenever. And my nigga just liked the message. No response, nothing. Okay, we scared. It's cool. Continue, though.
Scary season.
It's cold outside. Niggas is scared.
Look, I'm just saying the Off-Space, like much of our commentary, is ready to deliver buckets whenever possible. So
you think it's just me?
If anybody wants to smoke with either one of us, you know who to DM. Because we're here accepting challenges. We're ready to... Hey, you know what? I really
2v2 tournament?
I want, during the summer, low-key, to have a 2v2 tournament. Or there's the... a 2-on-2 day where people can show up and then we'll play people, and whoever beats us, we'll give like $50 to or some shit for the game.
No one's gonna beat in a 2v2, right? Unless they're pros.
They're not getting more than 4 games out of me, so it's gonna be a short video. But that aside, let's go ahead and get into
They don't know how a 3-and-D player works, baby.
Yes, sir.
All I'm good for is defense.
I run around a lot.
And some boards, boy. But anyways, moving right on to what's happened this week in sports. One of the first things I wanted to speak on was the Texans releasing J.J. Watt officially. Like, it's been announced. Defensive legend for sure. Somebody that was the best defensive player in the NFL for half of his career. Since I think he's been in for about a decade. And up until like 2015, 2016, he was like undoubtedly the GOAT, like the guy. Right now, I believe it's very clearly Aaron Donald. Like everybody knows Aaron Donald's a different monster. But JJ being on the more tail end of his career, since those things aren't the longest, plus an average NFL career is what, like 2-3 years. He's been in for 10. Like stars obviously.
I don't know like the average, but to be fair, I know they're factoring in a lot of revolving door players. Like they're not talking like the superstar big names.
Of course. And so that just kind of means, what do you think is next for JJ? Like personally, like he's on the tail end, so he's not producing like he used to produce, but he's still a name that brings an audience, and he's still a good defensive player.
I think there's plenty of teams.
Should we use him on the Saints
out there?
Let me stop.
I wasn't gonna say the Saints.
I say everybody,
but I was going to say the Saints. So I was just trying to avoid it for the sake of the podcast because I know a lot of people happen to hear us saying everything the Saints and Pelicans, but no, I'm sure there is a team that could benefit from him out there. It's just gonna be on probably a smaller contract
But I think he still has, since he was released, would people have to pick up his contract while it's released, or is it just kind of just like we're done, you're done?
To be fair, unless he goes to another team, I think,
because I think he has like a 20 a year contract. Like he has a big contract.
Yeah, I think to sever it, they just end up just paying you out. So I could be wrong on that. And again, stick with us because I know we've given more casual commentary in the past, but since we are dedicating a whole new sports section, we're trying to do our best to bring y'all specifics with as much legitimate info as we can.
We're trying to be a little bit more diligent for sure, just because if we're going to be reporting like we do on the main podcast, but with sports and taking it a little bit more seriously, we want to make sure that we have our facts with us. But that being said, after the Deshaun Watson news, though, for like him clearly being unhappy at the Texans, you saw early signs of all of this happening because Deshaun's demanded a trade, right? And you saw how their season ended, deplorable season, especially for such talented players that should have done better. Like they released their all-star wide receiver, you know what I'm saying? Like right before the season, like it just looks like a whole shit show. With Deshaun Watson clearly leaving, and JJ walking back to the tunnel, do you remember the video where he was like, "I'm sorry, man, we failed you this season," blah, blah, just like kind of they wasted a year of Deshaun's prime, because you could probably see how good of a player Deshaun is. Why would he stay? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would JJ stay? He probably clearly feels like at this point there's nothing left for him on that team.
I don't even know past him, just the Deshaun situation itself. There's a lot of good QBs, and so I feel like, especially with the winning mentality that he has, though, and trying to move to a team where they could win now, that's more important to see, like, a destination for him.
Like the Saints?
So, like, the Rams, I think it's more possible in the Rams. And, you know, the fact that
the Saints need to just stop lying.
Goff's out of here, so they have an opportunity to make something happen. I think the fact that Breeze hasn't announced retirement yet means that we're in for another year. But we're in for another year the right way. I think after the ending of the playoffs, for our playoff run last season, I think there's going to be a lot more of a, you're not playing out full games, and if you are even playing, you might not be playing that much in general, and you really might just be like a brain for the next generation. So, like, you might play some, you might not. It's just going to be more dependent on, like, what the game situation is looking like, but it's not a guarantee for that man anymore, because if it's a guarantee, then we're wasting a lot of quality years out of a lot of quality players. So
exactly. I think low-key we need to trade up in the draft. We can get try to get like a Justin Fields or something. If we can make it that high, like a top 10, top 20 pick, like if we have the pieces to trade for it, I would low-key give up. No, not Breeze. Like, just keep Breeze. If we're gonna do our due diligence with Breeze, keep him around, let him coach the next QB and figure it out. But I'm saying maybe Jameis, maybe
Jameis and Michael Thomas.
Bro, I was gonna say low-key let MT go, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, let MT go.
He wouldn't be as bad of a situation if that man did not really be the definition of Twitter fingers.
Bro, it's just like, I'm so tired of this shit as a fan, bro. And it's just, it makes me almost like he's an all-star. He's clearly an all-star. He's somebody that gets his numbers every single year for the most part, right? If he does, his draft stock should still be high enough right now that I think we just go ahead and use him as the essential piece to working on another QB. Because at the end of the day, bro, like,
we got to give up something to get something at this
We got to give up something to get something. So it's no disrespect to that man. It's just truly, I'm just so ready for us to start our next journey for QB, because it's gonna suck. We suffered through them 7 and 9 seasons, then we suffered through a lot of 11, 12, 13 win seasons for nothing. So now it's kind of like I'm ready for the new look of the Saints. Like, I'm ready for a new face. I'm ready for it to just kind of start transitioning and all the dirty shit that comes with it. So I mean, that's all I really have for NFL, to be completely honest with you, for today. But actually, I had one more NFL question, which was about Odell. And the reason I was concerned about Odell was, I was actually looking this week, and it was something we talked about previously. It's just, Odell is an interesting case, because his first few seasons in the NFL, every season he was breaking records. Every season it was breaking different records, right? Getting thrown the football by what was left of an Eli Manning from his career. You know what I'm saying? And so, commendable, clearly an all-star wide receiver. But the catch. The catch propelled him into a certain level, which I low-key think did what you said we did to J. Cole for hip-hop. And I think he got thrown into a conversation he wasn't ready to be in yet. And then we watched him try to get there, but then injury-ridden and things like that. I definitely believe he deserves to be there. That being said, with such a high level of celebrity and such a high retention of his celebrity, since he's still probably the most famous person in the NFL, and he hasn't really played much in the last couple of years, what do you think is next for Odell? Do you think he could still shine? Do you think he's still there?
First, I want to answer that question, but I have to backtrack. I don't think the catch, again, I'm no expert, but I don't think the catch did to Odell what it did to J. Cole for the fact of, I think very much that Odell was there. I think it may have been a little bit too soon, in the sense of his mentality wasn't all there and his leadership wasn't all there.
That's a part of it.
That is important, but in this general sake of talent and what he can accomplish, I think that's all it really propelled him, because people saw the pure talent of it. They saw, oh, this guy's going to be a problem at his position for years to come. I don't think the majority of people, even though a lot did expect him to start being like a role model and all these other things that he obviously wasn't going to be then.
He doesn't need to be those.
Yeah, he didn't need to. I think, though, that did kind of get moved on past, because he, at the end of the day, he's not a quarterback. Like, he's a wide receiver, and that does leave a little bit more wiggle room not to have to be like the pure leader of your team and all these things, no matter how talented you are, right? And so I think that he did have a little bit more breathing room in that area, and they just expected a lot out of him talent-wise, which he kept on delivering, because he was that guy.
And really, people forget during his time at the Browns, like, yes, they started to have more success when they started scheming up just with doing the run game in this last season. The run game being their primary source of offense, and then just throwing it where they can in other generational talents like a Landry, you know what I'm saying? Which played with Odell at LSU.
Beast,
but I mean,
man.
and Chubb's a monster. But even then, bro, like, I think a lot of people forget before Odell gets injured. The reason Odell was even in a position to get injured is because, like, all of the defensive schemes by the other teams for the first 2 years he was on the Browns were all for him. Like, you saw that because, like, it was clearly, like, they clearly saw the Browns offensive coordinator or head coach, whoever it was, schemed, like, while he was figuring it out, said, yo, Odell's down there, close your eyes, throw it to that nigga, he fine.
He's out there somewhere.
And so, like, he didn't really get a chance to play it because it was just like they knew it was going to be thrown to Odell. Like, here's Landry, generational talent. We have Chubb here. Yo, throw it to Odell. Like, that seemed like every snap it was trying to find him open. Nigga, it would be like two people chasing Odell. Yeah. And he'd be trying to get open for the catch.
Man, I just don't know what to say. But yeah, on to what your question was itself, what's left for him? A whole lot.
I think it's still a lot.
I don't even think that's a reasonable question right now. You know, has a lot of years left in his career.
But we've seen a lot of franchises kind of take careers to die at. Do you think that Cleveland's going to be able to continue utilizing him the best, or do you think that he's going to be off of Cleveland here soon?
No way. No
like,
way.
With their trajectory?
No way he's off of Cleveland. And at the same time, I think that they have the opportunity to utilize him well. I can't give too much credit to the offensive coordinators and whatnot out there and the coaches just yet because, again, I'm still doing my due diligence to make sure how much is attributed to them and how much is the players themselves. But this is the first year we've seen since like 2003 or something that Cleveland has been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
and they won the first game.
Exactly. And now Odell's on a team that's in the playoffs. I think we're also undermining that. Like, they're a playoff contending team.
And you know what's dope?
He has an opportunity to do something here.
Because of the fact that they did run a ton this season, like, if teams just start scheming up defense for them all next season, it's going to be on Chubb, right? So it may actually be the perfect storm and recipe for Odell to come out next season and really eat.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And so I mean, you know me, like, that's one of my favorite players in the NFL. Like, I just, like, nigga, we've been begging for him to be a Saint since he got in there. LSU boy, Landry can come too. You heard me? But it's like, I don't know. Like, that's somebody I'm always gonna cheer for. That's somebody I'm always gonna want the best for. So shouts out to Odell there. Moving right along, one thing I wanted to mention before we dive into basketball, which is going to be the primary lump of it, was the fact that Barcelona did lose 4-1 to PSG, and PSG didn't have Neymar, which they were thinking that was hopefully going to be Barcelona's chance, and they lost 4-1. I definitely think Messi's on the outs at this point. Like, it seems like the crumbling of what we consider La Liga, because it's not now Real Madrid, which is still top of the table. It's not now Barcelona, which is still top of the table. Atletico is the number one over there right now. Like, it seems to be kind of a
Atletico always has their time, though.
They've always been
that one's a little
good,
iffy.
But I'm saying, like, we've known for the past decade it's Real or Barcelona.
Yeah, but even then, not really, because they still had their moments, especially like some David Villa years in there. I remember the Fernando Torres years. Let's talk about it. But I know what you mean. The people that wear the crown majority in that whole league are usually those two teams. So I wouldn't say it's the crumbling of La Liga, or like, I would say those specific teams, though, but I do agree with you on maybe the whole league. But it's just time. It's kind of crazy because us growing up knowing which teams were prevalent for all these years, knowing that we're in a period where that's transitioning just shows, like, time really does move everything. And at some point, it's going to come back, you know?
No, for sure.
It's just who's gonna be the poster child of these teams.
See, right now it's interesting just because shouts out to Erling Haaland with the 3-1 defeat of Sevilla, I believe, which Dortmund just played in the Champions League. Haaland had 2 goals. Like, the biggest names right now that are being discussed as young players is, I believe, Haaland's pops wants him to go to Real Madrid. And I believe in whatever the move would be to try to get Messi out to try to get Messi to Neymar wants to play with Messi again, so there's rumors that he might be going to PSG, he might be going to Man City, like all of the stuff that's been in the airs. Like, the only thing that would make sense for Barcelona as a moving piece would be another young star in trying to revamp their future if Messi's going to leave anyway. And then it would probably make sense to have like a Mbappe go to Barcelona. So people are thinking it might be like a one day an Mbappe Haaland or Mbappe somebody else like being like the big La Liga name. But cool. This is all theory crafted. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No one knows exactly what's going on in the future.
And no one knows how much money's on the line in the future. Whoa! Look what money make up. Beep.
Look, money make up. Dude.
You like that smooth censorship.
Yes, sir. But we're moving right along, though. Shouts out to the young goats, though, in Haaland and Mbappe. I just thought it was interesting. Yeah. Just because you could clearly tell when niggas hate their team. And it seemed like Messi hate these niggas now, bro. He's ready to get out. He already talked about he hates the president in the most politically correct
hate's
way.
Hate's a strong word. He's trying to protect his peace. He said, I got a few good years left. I'm chilling. They're clearly not doing it anymore. I'm not trying to flame them. All much love and respect, but your boy's out of here. He's trying to definitely protect his peace.
This nigga said hate's a strong word, bro, when I'm trying to write my own narrative, bro. Can you let me be happy? The fuck is wrong with you? Yes, hate's a strong word, nigga. Okay. I don't know this nigga. I can't call Messi. I don't know if he hate these niggas. This nigga's trying to be the nice guy. I hate you.
Yeah, bro. See how Chuka tries to keep me down from being myself? One of these days, I'm going to bring the SportSpace podcast brought to you by Chuka and Chuka. And we're going to see how well it flows.
Oh, my goodness gracious. No, that's funny as fuck, though. But moving right along, we have some other non-basketball related news before we get to basketball. Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams are playing today, actually, at 7 p.m.
for the Australian Open. They're playing in the semifinals, and it's going to be exciting to watch. It would have been nice to see them both in the finals, but, you take what you can get.
It's funny when Naomi's reached such a level herself now, and Serena's fucking Serena. Like, Serena is... She's the only tennis player. I'm sorry to the rest of these niggas like Nadal and Federer and all of them, but it's like Serena's the only tennis player that is consistently brought up in the best athlete in the world discussion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. It's different. And so, like, it's funny though, seeing in a semifinal though, it almost looks like the fight, the big ticket of the card is this semifinal.
That's what it feels like.
It looks like two juggernauts right now.
I saw a comparison.
They may not even either win. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? It's still a sport at the end of the day. You have to respect professionals. Even though you kind of know.
Anybody who's in it has the opportunity to win. If you're that skilled and you made it that far, you have the chance to. But I don't know, man. It's pretty cool to see because obviously I'm not going to pretend like it's the same kind of showing as like a Super Bowl would have because I know what kind of viewership that gets. We know we live here, but it's nice because in its own right, it's essentially the old GOAT versus the new GOAT.
I love it, though.
And I need every bit of it. I'm just happy though because I think I got my money on Osaka because at the end of the day, she's beat Serena before, and I'm giving the edge to the young person who's beat the older person before because they have the more room to work with to get better.
And I want to be
if that makes sense.
And to be completely honest, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, I love Serena with all my heart, and like the youth in me that grew up watching this legend, like, wants Serena to win. But like the 27-year-old who's now watching the early 20s, like young generation, like go, like blah blah blah, come in, wants her to win.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting split, but I'm just excited to see them because at the end of the day, just seeing how much respect they both have for one another too, and seeing Naomi win and cry because she won. But it's not just because you cry because you won. It's like, bruh, I got to play against my GOAT and win this title off.
And it's different because it's a single person sport in that sense. Like, they're not playing doubles. Like, they're stepping out there mano y mano. And I don't know if anybody's been in that situation, but not only is the pressure different, but the connection to your opponent's different because it's really just you and that person locked in. And tennis takes a while, so it really is like a mind fuck and like physical just battle for so long.
And I couldn't even imagine, once again, it's your GOAT. Like, that's a different connection too. Like, you have to think about the fact that she's playing her favorite player of all time for like maybe for like an X amount of time that y'all are locked in trying to kill each other. Like, that is beautiful, and that is the beauty of sports. But so shouts out to Naomi, shouts out to Serena. And moving right along, we have a big shout out to who is one of the people's GOATs and who is one of the greatest players of all time to play basketball, one of the most influential players of all time to play basketball, and one of the most influential people in the world, period, and that is Michael Jordan. So big happy birthday to Michael Jordan.
Very happy birthday. I know.
I changed my tune.
I used to have some choice feelings about it too. My feelings about Michael Jordan have been a mixed variety though because while you have to realize that everyone's not perfect, which is very hard for a kid to realize growing up about like some of their heroes. Because I remember I was never the kid who really loved reading like that. Like I could always read at a high level. Like that wasn't the issue. It was just the fact that you couldn't pay me to. Like all my siblings would read just way more than we were supposed to, but I would be the outlier. There'd be days where my parents were like, okay, read a certain amount and then y'all can go like play or do whatever you want. And I'd just be in the whole day because I just wasn't doing it. And so I remember the books that I was guaranteed to be on my own about past the Percy Jackson series. Shouts out to Percy Jackson.
Overhyped.
Was literally just sports biographies and seeing, especially for my favorite sport, basketball at the time, how every person's story I read at the time, whether it was like Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, you know, Magic Johnson, whoever the fuck, at some point, every one of their books referenced Michael Jordan. And it just like painted a very early picture of just how important this man was to that whole space of basketball, and doing my own research on him and learning about him. So it was a really exciting time.
Yes, sir, Ski. And I'm happy, once again, that you've had that moment. And I'm happy that I was able to just change my tune myself just because I know how I used to feel about that man. But like you said, not everybody's perfect. You don't know people's intentions, and I don't personally know these people, so I don't want to harbor any feelings or opinions unless you get concrete facts, you know? And so, like, for right now, we're celebrating a black man who made it to the pinnacle of his league, who made it to the pinnacle of the business world, you know what I'm saying? And who's made it to like what a lot of people consider the pinnacle of success. So I mean, and during this Black History Month, I'd be damned if I was gonna sit here and shit on this person. So once again, all vices and all shouts out to Michael Jordan. And moving right along, we have a couple basketball things to talk about. One, I wanted to just mention the fact that Jimmy Butler is back, and the Heat have been a lot better since he's been back. They've been on a winning streak. We expected that, but I like the instant turn from like these niggas looking like 2 o'clock at the Y to looking like, oh, the team that possibly made it to the finals last season. You know what I'm saying? Like once they got Jimmy Buckets back. So I love that. A text you sent me I wanted to reference about Curry playing inspirational basketball. Man. This nigga texted us and said, yo, Curry's playing inspirationally right now. I was like, what? And then I instantly like saw the box score. I was like, whoa, he has that many of his team points? And then I turned on the game instantly.
I think at a time I saw like 7 out of 10 threes made or something. And he had like 20-something points, and I think it was like halftime or some shit. And so I'm just sending this message out, like, if y'all aren't tuned in, go ahead and tune in now.
Like, to be completely honest, I think that there has to be a discussion that we have at some point. And I think the discussion that we have to have is, like, we have to just give respect to Steph Curry. Because I think that even the league, like, the narrative is shifting, right? Like, you understand... We saw the narrative when it came to trying to find a Euro GOAT and then giving it to the Giannis, like this kind of stuff, and then niggas not biting, just being like, and just spray that one away. Like, they were not trying to bite. I'm sorry, that was one of the funniest narratives because no one was trying to bite. But you couldn't sell that to none of us, bro. No one thought that nigga was the best player in the league.
I think the fact that this man couldn't hit a reliable three-point shot
to hit a shot
was what kept him from really becoming the face of the league. Because the fans need to see a shot go in.
But the dominance, it could be as crazy as you want, but unless you are looking like Shaq, you know what I'm saying, where literally the whole defense is made against you, which don't get me wrong, in the playoffs the defense is made against Giannis, but it's made in a way that it's just like, we're going to force you to shoot.
Yeah.
And they force him to shoot and he can't.
And so then that looks even worse.
You know,
which, but again, we get, you're still an amazing player, whatever.
But amazing player. But that being said, it seems that another narrative has started this season, bro. And let me paint a picture.
Oh, I hate the narrative.
Embiid deserves to be in the MVP discussion this season for sure. Might be the winner of the MVP discussion. Like, he's looking crazy.
That one's tough.
Jokic deserves to be in the MVP discussion this season. King James, we got to be real, deserves to be in the MVP discussion.
I like those three so far. I like those three a lot.
Who I think they're leaving out of the MVP discussion that needs to be in the MVP discussion is Steph Curry.
Because they wouldn't even be sniffing bottom four. It's not like they wouldn't be sniffing the upper echelon of the bottom 8 if it wasn't for Steph Curry.
I know,
like they would be a bottom 3 team in the West.
I know they are looking like a playoff contender right now, looking like they're working on their way to do that, and I get that. And I know a lot of that is marks against you in the MVP discussion if your team's like not top of the table or if your team doesn't get drugged to the playoffs. Like, I think Russ got it and he was 6th. They were 6th, but he averaged a triple-double, like whatever kind of shit. Bro, look at the stats. Look at the stats. Steph Curry's averages are almost identical at 32 years old to his 2015-2016 MVP, unanimous MVP season. This is 5 years later, and older, he is doing it the exact same thing, and no one is talking about him being an MVP. That is disgusting.
To realize that we know the MVP race and all races out there for like awards in the NBA are narrative based. And they pretty much started that shit before the season. If AD was a lot healthier and playing a lot more minutes this season, and then I think even he would have a bigger bump in the race for it because they wanted him to. Like they wanted.
It seems like they don't want Steph.
They wanted the Jokic. And I'm happy for it, though, because Jokic is playing like it. So that's deserved. They wanted the Bron. Bron's playing like it. They didn't want the Steph.
They didn't want Embiid low-key.
To be fair, they d't want Embiid either. He's forcing it.
He's forcing it just because he's spazzing. He's snapping every game. You can't not talk about it.
Steph Curry is one of the most important players to ever play basketball. I don't even want to say greatest because I feel like that one's a tough conversation.
And it's subjective.
And it's very subjective, but it's undeniable how important he is to basketball. And the kind of way we see him being guarded night in and night out, that has to hold some type of credit and validity to the argument of him being a top 5, top 3 player in the league right now.
And you know what's crazy to me about this? Steph didn't start getting guarded like that until 2017, 2018. They've been doing the chase him around shit, but I'm saying like the literal one person that only looks at him. You know what I'm saying? Because you watch all the games. There's 32 teams in the league, right? 32 teams in the league. 31 of those teams, they have a coordinator that schemed up a plan that is literally, because if y'all watch any of these games, it's literally one person chase Steph Curry around and stare at him because he's dangerous.
They used to play just man defense all the time. And then this nigga from Toronto wanted to go ahead and run this boxing one. And all of a sudden, it's a whole different game.
And so I just think that's something to bring up for sure, that people need to talk about Steph more in the MVP discussion. Because if you have that Warriors team in the playoff discussion in the Deep West, and you're averaging the exact same damn near, but off by like 0.1 in points. That was like the only one off.
Yeah.
Right? From your unanimous, first in history, unanimous MVP season. We should probably talk about you in the MVP race. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. They were trying, did Russ win back-to-back, I think?
No, I do what I want.
Because I know they were.
I think he did.
They either won back-to-back or they were trying to give it. No, it was him and then Harden.
Yeah.
Okay. But they were trying. They were even discussing trying to give it to him back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like the way Harden, they were even trying to discuss bringing him to back-to-back. And I'm saying I get those, but if y'all can't do these things without speaking about Curry. But that being said, speaking of James Harden, I wanted to talk about his inspirational comeback versus the Suns the other day. Like he helped lead the Nets. KD was out. Kyrie was out. The Nets were down 24 at the top of the third, which still plenty of time to play basketball.
A lot of time.
So we have to be fair there. They are pros, but did end up leading a comeback to where they ended up winning that game. And that just spurs the discussion. Like,
I think they only won by like 2 or something like that.
They barely won, don't get me wrong. But our predictions, how do you feel about your prediction right now? Do you think the East is still the Nets?
I still think it's Nets certified.
Or is it looking a little spookier? Do you think they'll tighten up with that defense by playoff?
Do I think that it's still Nets certified? 100%. You gotta show me another team that can compete. You got to. You can't do it.
You think the Sixers can't beat them in 7 games?
The Sixers, they're out of here. That Ben Simmons is an inspirational talent too, without a jump shot.
One of the best defenders in the league.
Kind of crazy. One of the best defenders in the league.
One of the best though. But D-Book showed him that was crazy.
I'll tell you why that matchup doesn't work. It doesn't work because you still don't have the reliable jump shot. You're not an offensive threat come playoff basketball because playoff basketball is a lot different and a lot of that shit's not flying. It's also, you're a high-level defender that's going to make some key plays at key times, but the Nets have three generational players. At the end of the day, you can't shut them down. You can probably make some key stops on them at times, but you can't shut any one of them down.
All 3 of them are going to average damn near 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? How do you stop that?
It's going to be tough for anybody. It's going to be tough for them. I think the only team that has a chance of coming out of there, just off the strength of how young and resilient and just dynamic they are on both offense and defense, would be the Celtics. That's the only team I can think of that really has the opportunity to come out on top of the Nets.
I respect that, but also moving right along then, just because I just wanted to check and see if your opinion has changed with the Nets there. The last topic that I had for the sports space this week is speaking about young dynamic teams. We heard about the nickname Airbnb that was thrown out this past week when it comes to LaMelo Ball.
He said not that one.
He said not that one, but then he started to see money signs. The next interview, he was like, actually, I'll take it because you can tell.
First off, the nickname he suggested
promotions.
was Buns. Second off, that Airbnb is kind of fire.
Airbnb kind of hard.
It's kind of tough. It kind of sucks that again it is a company name, but they're about to pay you out.
They're about to give a sponsorship.
You know?
What? Like that money's coming. They probably already contacted that nigga and said we're gonna give you an Airbnb commercial. You feel me?
Oh my goodness!
Like him throwing the lob to Miles and then landing in the B&B and being like, huh, or something like that. We can't give out free game, free ideas. I'm sorry, but like my own question.
What do you think? I want a question to you. It's really fun watching these Hornets games, especially their connection.
My favorite team to watch in the league right now.
For sure.
Definitely my favorite team to watch in the league right now. I'm biased. I understand.
And how dynamic their gameplay is together, especially between the oops. But how long, if not for just a moment, how long do you think it'll last? Because I think they end up getting separated after a few years. If even a few years, it might be next year. It might happen a lot faster than people think. And so it's kind of hard to start.
There's a lot of
like
decent
pairing.
draft stock that's being built up, and they're gonna start. Because that's what I was gonna ask you actually. Not go ahead and ask me first.
So it was just like, do you think this is gonna be a Shaq and Penny Hardaway type of situation where they link up for like a few years, and then it just moves on, even though it was like an iconic moment that could have been great down the road? Or do you think they actually try and just stick in for the longevity to at least see where it's going for a little bit?
With Bridges and Ball, or just Ball and the young core of that team?
Ball and Bridges specifically.
I have two answers. Ball and Bridges, they're going to keep Bridges. They're going to definitely keep the one nigga that does the handshake with him and like makes him feel comfortable and like, you know, his piece for the team. Like that's going to be, and no offense to this nigga in the slightest bit, and I shouldn't mean offense because this nigga had 5 rings, but it's going to be, or more, I forget if he got any post Lakers, but it's going to kind of be his Derek Fisher.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
You know what I'm saying? Like Kobe always had this player. Always, throughout his stint. I think LaMelo's always going to have Bridges. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rest of the pieces on the team, per se, I believe a lot of that young core has, since they've been snapping, Scary Terry has been going nuts points-wise in a lot of these games. Like, I'm saying they're probably stoked for this draft stock so that they could offload some of these players and then continue to, like, build up. Like, there's certain young pieces they're going to keep. Because I think a lot of teams are trying to Golden State it a little more and just like producing their young cores right now.
I think that gives you the most reliable outcome.
But I think that it's definitely going to be more of a they stay together, except for key pieces that are going to get moved around. That being said, I definitely see them like they're going to hand him the keys soon if they haven't already handed him the keys. Do you think that LaMelo, since we're seeing the way Zion's playing, it's not like capturing views as much, but he's still playing at a crazy level. Speaking about MVP discussion, low key, like, let's be real, this nigga averaging damn near 30.
I'm not gonna lie, like that was the crazy part to me. I was gonna talk to you the other day, but I'm gonna let you go on with what you're saying. But he's really putting in MVP numbers. If it was just like less booty cheeks, like,
you know what I'm saying? Second year, like we were looking at Luka averaging the same thing that Zion was averaging. It was looking a lot cooler. Don't get me wrong.
I got some.
But
Zion
niggas were
takes.
calling him generational.
I think that the league just stopped promoting him as much for certain reasons because of how much they did last year and it didn't pay off with him not playing that much and all these other things. Even though that's partially on the Pelicans too. Alvin Gentry blew the opportunity for that.
Super blew it.
But you know, I think they will start giving him his time again. It just takes getting to a playoffs and showing out in the playoffs to have the Murray effect, to have the Luka effect, to have all these things where you start getting that back off.
That's what I was gonna ask then, because LeBron once again is aging. With the viewership he's getting right now and attention, it seems like the league would be stoked to hand the keys to LaMelo. But there's a lot of young people like fighting for that, obviously, because everyone wants to be the face of the league. You see the favor the face of the league gets. You get a bunch of hate, but you get a lot of favor too.
Oh my goodness.
Like what? Like this nigga Braun be looking at refs certain type of ways sometimes, and they look just like that little Michael Jordan video. Like, we believe you, Braun. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we got you, bro. Don't worry.
And so,
yeah, Braun, I'll take a look.
Do you think that? Obviously, this is early. He's only started for like 10 games. Do you think? Because I remember last year saying I see LaMelo being an outstanding player, perennial all-star, but I don't know if I could see him being the player they hand the keys to. Do you think it's possible that they hand the keys to him, like the NBA? Like, could he become that type of player that it's Showtime to that extent? Because he is Showtime in a bottle.
It's hard to say because
the Keystone player has to sell out arenas.
What I'm seeing out of him is a future many times over all-star player. I don't want to take that away, but at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot of young talent that seem like I can't believe I get to watch the basketball I'm watching. From the Luka to the Trae Young to the Zions, you know what I mean? Kobe White, Kobe White, you know? Like all these people that I'm seeing now, and it's just like,
even the Zach fucking like LeVert, bro. Like I'm saying, like motherfuckers are tripping right now. They're tripping right now.
It's just nuts. You have to separate
Anthony Edwards, be real. Let's be clear. If Anthony Edwards wasn't dark skinned, he'd probably be in this discussion too. Just because we see the colorism stuff too. He's not. He's promoted in a positive way, and people love his personality.
I don't want to say it's because of his.
Bro, be real.
From some level of promotion, yes. I will be honest about. You have to hear me out. You can't do that. You have to hear me out. And I gotta say it for the fact of yes. It definitely, we see the obvious things, and some of the pairings, some of the promotions, some of the collaborations with brands and the promotion. I get that, but I'm just saying on like just the team nature and like the NBA itself, we even see them promoting certain things a little bit higher, especially when it comes to like, oh, look at these highlights. But it is very hard to say when a nigga's playing on Minnesota. Charlotte is such a bad organization, but we've seen LaMelo get follows through high school, like, and not just through high school. One of the most hyped names from families since high school.
Of course,
like that one's a little tough to compare those two. Like,
I don't want to.
That's what I'm saying on that.
I don't want to put him on that front. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, they're definitely hoeing Anthony Edwards the way that, because out of the two that they should be talking about the most, it's LaMelo and Anthony Edwards. Those are the two. That is it. And it doesn't seem like that is how it is in the sports media right now. I don't even think
that, though. Because James Wiseman, bro.
Wiseman's doing great, too. Don't get me wrong. But the past, because I've been trying my best to keep up with this rookie class. You may have been keeping up better, so who knows. But I'm saying, like, from what I'm seeing, like, the top cloud is LaMelo Anthony Edwards. Yeah. The next one is Wiseman. Okay. And then Wiseman's by himself, though. Yeah. I think he's by himself, and then the next one is like certain.
I have all those three in the same up top.
In the same one? Okay.
And I just think it's just been a failure on this side, though. It's hard to find transition to that new face of the league, and especially to put that much promotion into all these things when you can't even have fans coming to games. So this is kind of a scuff season. I think if it wasn't for him being LaMelo Ball, you wouldn't see this much hype around a rookie in a pandemic season. Like, that's in a shortened pandemic season. So it's definitely hard to see that. We'll see when the fans start showing up again, when people start getting interactive with their communities and things, exactly what happens.
He's commanding that already, though, to be completely honest. He already seems like he's about to be selling out arenas.
I think the opportunity
state to state.
Bro, he has this much buzz when you can't have fans come out. Like, I'm trying
every
to bring
video
that
with
to
his
attention.
name on it on YouTube is hundreds of thousands of views. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Like, people are excited to keep up with this boy. But for the sake of not like drawing in too long, obviously, like, the second part of it I did put was Melo versus Melo in terms of the young generation. This LaMelo Ball is their Melo now, and the older generation, Carmelo Anthony, is their Melo, and so many people making that distinction. The only thing I'll say is, bro, I was gonna make this funnier and make this, but y'all niggas is weird, bro. Like, at the end of the day, Carmelo Anthony is going to retire here soon, and then it's going to be LaMelo Ball is the only Melo in the league, right? Like, we have to let things go, and we have to keep things on. I love Carmelo Anthony, and I sit here and I argue for Carmelo Anthony all the time, but y'all think that in the thousands of years that are gonna pass in basketball reigning, we don't know how long the Earth's gonna last, to be fair. But anyways, like, well, with basketball going and like all of this, you think that that's going to be the last Melo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be real.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect...
There's probably going to be another Kobe.
I didn't expect another Melo.
You know what I'm saying?
Bro, Kobe...
People are naming their kids after this nigga. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be someone fire.
There is another Kobe. Already in the league.
Kobe Wise?
Oh, yeah. So, like... Kobe? It's Kobe. It's Kobe. But that being said, it's just like, yo... At the end of the day, Melo had his time, like the OG Melo, and no one who really saw that is tripping on the newer, younger LaMelo getting the shine of getting that nickname and enjoying what he's doing, because we saw all the good years of Carmelo Anthony.
Right.
I think anybody really complaining about it at this point is holding on to some, like, I'm just going to be living in the year that I want.
62 points in the Garden with 0 rebounds, 0 assists, and 0 steals, 0 turnovers. Like, bro, 62 points. You literally got the ball and ball.
This man
you
said,
had
I
nothing to do with your
nothing
team.
else but true. That's iconic.
And you dropped 62.
Whatever people wanted to say was Kobe was Carmelo. In a certain
0 across the board in your box score. You scored 60-plus points. You are one of the craziest shooters.
You know the memes where it's like they're looking at a controller and the only thing that's there was the shoot button? That was Carmelo Anthony.
What?
And the thing is, he was proficient at it.
Proficient.
So we're never going to forget
one of the top
those
scoring
years.
leaders in the league most of his career. So we're never going to forget that. But That also being said, that's all I have for sports for today. Do you
Yeah,
have anything
I
else?
think we did a good week. Hopefully, y'all are enjoying the segment and everything kind of new with the sports space. So there's going to be a lot more episodes to come, and we just hope that y'all stay tuned.
Yes, sirski. So my name is Chuka.
My name is Ezigo.
This is SportSpace.
SportSpace.